Hey, what's up, ladies and gents? This is Ryan. This is the Ryan Kostroski show. We are here today, just gonna chit chat for a little bit. Friday night over here. Obviously, it might be a different time of day because you don't always watch it right when it pops out. So, I got the wife and kids gone this weekend. Got a little extra time to talk about some things. This is a subject that I've wanted to discuss for a while now, and you see the title of it. It's called "Just Own It." So, what I really want to focus on here is owning it up to when you make a mistake or when you get caught doing something that you shouldn't do. We're all people. We all screw up from time to time. And I think most people are pretty damn forgiving of when people make mistakes, but they don't like being lied to. They don't like dishonesty. They don't like you thinking you are able to get one over on them. That's what really will piss more people off more than anything, because I think we're pretty good as a species. I really do. I think very strongly that we're really good about forgiving others because we know we screw up from time to time. I mean, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and admit you make some mistakes, you're crazy, right? We all do it from time to time. I'm just like y'all. I do the same thing. All this, I make mistakes all the time too. But recover up is always worse than the crime. People don't like dishonesty and they don't like you thinking that you can get something over on them. And some people won't say anything. They'll just smile and nod, and in deep down, they'll know you're full of shit. No one ever trust you ever again. And if you can't be trusted, you take so much power away from you. So people don't like the lies. They don't like excuses. And I just got a few examples I think that we can kind of talk about like in real life situations. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys will agree on this one. So I'm a big sports fan. A lot of you guys watching this probably know it. I'm a Wisconsin native. I live in Green Bay, which means my baseball team is the Milwaukee Brewers. I want to say it was 5 or 6 years ago when Ryan Braun got in trouble. I mean, we all know. I think everybody with yeah, any sense of reality knows he was using steroids, right? A lot of the players do it. I think most of us can forgive any player that does it, but where he lost the fans is when he threw the guy who took his test under the bus. And coincidentally, like this guy happens to be a friend of a friend. I don't know him, so I can't really speak on his behalf. But a girl I went to college with because she knew him. It's like this is a standout guy. I believe he had kids even, and she's like he went out of his way to get him fired or get him in trouble just so he could save his own butt. And that really rubbed people the wrong way, right? The cover up is worse than the crime. Now the polar opposite that would be Jason Giambi. If you guys remember him, he played for the Oakland Athletics and then played for the New York Yankees and a couple other teams after that. When he got caught, he was one of the few athletes who was like, yeah, I did it. I was wrong. I shouldn't have. I knew it was wrong when I did it. I wanted to get an edge. I did it. You want to know what? Everybody can respect that, right? Because we understand why you might take something to help your performance if it gets you millions of dollars. I think most of us can relate to that. I don't know about you guys. I don't have millions of dollars. If somebody said, take these pills, you'll be better at your craft and you'll go from making, this to this, I would be pretty damn tempted. I think most people, if they're honest with themselves, will agree that they would be pretty tempted to do the same thing. So we can relate to that. We can understand why somebody would do that. But when you come out here and you spit these bullshit lies that we all know are complete and utter BS, that's where you lose people. Now, the Brewers are my team, and I root for Ryan Braun every time he comes up to the plate. But if he were to get traded right now, and it's not just because of lack of performance, I wouldn't be upset by it at all because that just really rubs me the wrong way. And I've talked to a bunch of other people about this situation. They all agree with me on this one. So that's a sports analogy. I love sports. That one's easy for me. But I can think of like just things I've done in my own life where this has helped me out. I can specifically remember at a job I had when I was younger. I was the guy at the Christmas party, had a couple too many drinks, and made a giant fool out of myself. I would say even more than a fool. I was kind of an asshole. I'm not usually a drunk asshole, but every once in a while it happens. I'm also a lot older now, so I'm rarely drunk, period. But I'm just saying, like, that was just me being stupid. I was completely wrong in this situation. All I could do to go, I went back to work on Monday, and I knew that everything would be fine. It was a pretty cool company to work for that way. But that I was probably going to have to, at least make some apologies and talk to some people. So, I said my piece to the one guy that I probably was too much of a jerk to. He was super, super cool about it. And then my boss comes into my office and it's like, we got to talk about what happened that night. And I said, you know what? that was horrible on my behalf. I'm completely embarrassed. I was 100% wrong. I don't have any excuses. Do whatever you think is you need to do. And I accept that because I have no excuse for how I acted. And he just looked at me and he said, well, I don't know. I guess I'd have nothing left to say. He's like, okay, don't do it again. We're a pretty forgiving, company. A lot of us have been there before. Uh, don't do it again. Right. It was over in about 2 seconds. Now, if I had sat there and made excuses and saying, oh, I didn't eat that day or something like that, one of those BS excuses people make when they've had too much to drink, I think that would have irritated him significantly more. Not I think that he told me that would have irritated him significantly more, and he appreciated. Like, I'm glad you owned it. Don't do it again. And the conversation was over. It took all of 45 uncomfortable seconds. I said my piece, over and done with it. Now, that's just one situation, but just owning what I did and making a complete doofus out of myself made it end so much quicker, and we were able to get by it in like that. Another example I have. So Congress in our country has an approval rating pretty much always below 25%. Uh, People don't like them. And it really comes down to the fact that they lie to us. They make bad straw man arguments that we know aren't true. Anybody that follows politics knows that they're full of shit. And this is something that at least, Democrats and Republicans can agree upon this one. And what we really don't like about them is the constant lying and the constant try to pull the wool over your eyes. And we know that they're full of it. Unfortunately, it's really difficult to do anything about it. But again, it's just another example of how people don't like when you try just to BS them, especially when they can see right through it. Because you're just, you're in a way insulting them and telling them that they're not smart enough to understand you, or you think you're better than they are, or you think they're smarter than they are. And that will really rub people the wrong way. Now, we just went through an election. Well, actually, it wasn't that long ago, but we just went through an election not that long ago, where we had two candidates that the majority of people really weren't a fan of. Can you even imagine? Imagine the one that you hate. Now, most people are probably going to hate one more than the other. A lot of people don't like either of them. But whatever one you have more disdain for, imagine if they would just sit down in a press conference right now and be like, hey, you know what? Seen the error of my ways. I did this wrong. I did this wrong. I did this wrong. I shouldn't have acted this way. Going forward, I'm going to try to be better by doing this, this, and this. Can you imagine? It would be difficult at first, but that would be a great way to start getting some respect from the American people again. Whoever it is you root for or root against. I'm just using these guys as an example. It would be really easy for people to start forgiving them. People will forgive really easily if you're just honest and forthright with them. Another sports example for me, and then we'll call it quits for the night. So again, I've already said it. I'm a Green Bay Packers guy. I live in Green Bay. Growing up, I was a huge Brett Favre fan, but we kind of always knew Brett was a bad guy. I mean, Green Bay is a small town, right? So there's lots of rumors and stories that go along with it. All the stories of him, with other women running around town and things like that. Like, you kind of always knew Brett was a bad guy, but you loved to watch him play the game. So you had a lot of respect for him. But then he pulled like the whole fake retirement thing, and he retired and unretired, and then he wanted to come back, and then he didn't want to come back, and then he retired, and we said Aaron had the job, and he was a big prima donna about that. There's still a lot of people around here, me included, where it's hard. There's a lot of love lost right there. I don't hate Brett Favre, but I don't feel as strongly about him as like, one of my favorite athletes of all time as I would have if he had just retired and gone away. But if Brett Favre were to come back again and just have a press conference in Green Bay, like, hey, I let all the attention and all the accolades get to my head, kind of lost who I was. It's kind of acting like a douchebag for a few years. That would go a long way with people around here, and probably people in a lot of other areas as well. We just want you to tell the truth, to own your behavior, good or bad. We all make mistakes. I make them all the time. Y'all make them all the time. It's just part of being human. But if you're honest about it, people will forgive you really, really quickly. At least most people will. You know what? I try to hold a grudge, but it's easier to forgive people. And I think most people kind of fall on that half of it. So that's my 2 cents. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate the thumbs up and anybody subscribing. Have a great night.